Hello everyone, I am Olivier Deleau, the Commercial Director of ALD Mexico. It's a real pleasure for me to be with Antonio González in that Fleet Latam Conference 2021. Antonio, thank you so much for being part of that Fleet Latam Conference 2021. Could you please introduce yourself in a few minutes, please?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you, and thank you, ALD, for having me here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my experience with you. And let me tell you something little quick about me. I work for LOreal Mexico. I've been at LOreal for 12 years now, and I work as a finance director in the corporate team.
Thank you so much. Really nice to see you again. And I'm very interested to have you with me in order to discuss the topic how to manage total cost of ownership through internationalization. So let's start. And I will have a first question for you, Antonio. I know that it took a lot of time or some time for L'Oreal Mexico to go from a purchase model to a leasing model. What were the main factors for you, Antonio, to decide to go for a leasing model? I would be very interesting to have your thought on that.
Yes, it took a while. Actually, like 10 years to actually decide for this. Let me tell you something about our car fleet. Mexico's fleet is the second biggest fleet in the L'Oreal Latam. Okay, so it's a fleet of around 600 cars, and when we started to have the total ownership of our fleet, we invested lots of resources to do that. We have many headcounts that perform this task, and we invested much time to do this. And at first, it was very interesting. We did many successful negotiations with some car dealers, with some car manufacturers, and we managed to have very low prices. We have also great negotiations with insurance people, and slowly we managed to have a very specialized team that took care of the fleet administration, and we performed like this for many years, almost 10 years. And we became very good at it. We were very specialized for this, but times change, and now we have to focus on our business. We want to have a linear structure. We want to focus on what really matters to us, and we don't have to waste any more time in this fleet administration. So we decided to make some analysis. We decided to talk with some suppliers for this matter. And what we did was that we made lots of financial analysis. We took into account many both quantitative and qualitative facts, not only money. We were concerned about time invested, about resources invested in this fleet administration. And we were looking for an international partner. We were looking for a business partner for us with the adequate operative muscle to help us to complete this task, to help us with our fleet, which is not small. And we finally found ALD as the right business partner to do this new business relationship with. And finally, we started to, as you remember, we started to do this locally. We implemented some things locally, like a new car policy. We implemented new parameters in order to help us to administrate our fleet. Some insights that you have that we didn't take into account before. And now I pose this question for you. Since we did it locally first, how come ALD is going to help us to go globally and to work with L'Oreal Latam?
I think it's a very wide question, very interesting question, and I will try to focus on the main advantages that we present in that slide. And I will try to focus on three main advantages to manage an account and a fleet globally. But basically, I would sum up my speech with that motto, which is think globally but act locally. So what are the 3 points for me? The first one would be, Tonio, to align strategy of the different countries to the group's strategy. And I think here it's important to take some concrete examples. First of all, we need to share the same values across the world among the different entities. For example, all the topics related with safeties. We know that a lot of companies are putting a great effort in all the different regions to make the employees drive safe back to their home. And also another, another example for the same values across the world could be the car policies. It improves the efficiencies. You mentioned that point in your point. A second example would be also, the global strategies with the OEMs. Obviously, we have very strong discounts as a global partner with the OEMs, with all the volumes of the fleet we purchase every year. But apart from that global aspect, we respect as well the specificities of each country. For example, the inclusion or not of the replacement car or the gasoline car. That would be my first point, about the strategy and the element of the strategy. The second point is the implementation of a global strategy. What does it mean? We think, as a global partner to you, that it is very important to share the best practice on a global level, and that will bring you three main purposes or three main things. One is a bit what I said about the car policy, the efficiency, and if you have efficiency, basically you have savings. So it is very important for us to improve the efficiency of your fleet. The second point is for you to have a strong follow-up of the different projects with established key performance indicators. For example, and we will come back to that point a bit later, the reduction of the CO2 emission, which is key in our current world. And the third point would be the process harmonization. That would be the three main points for me to implement on a global strategy. Besides, it is true that when we have a global account manager, it enables you to leverage it in case we have some delays, for example, in the implementation of that strategy locally. It is a strong level. The third point I want to mention with you, Tonio, is visibility and control. Why? Because a global fleet manager, it is key for a global fleet manager to have a clear visibility about the behavior of its fleet with the mentioned harmonized key performance indicators. You, as a fleet manager and the corporate director, finance director, you need to have access to all data of the fleet in Mexico. And the behavior of your fleet in Mexico about the last maintenance, etc., etc. But we can imagine that the global fleet, it wants to have the same indication as yours in order to see the behavior and the saving of his fleet. Another point about that visibility and control is more on the terms and conditions, to have common agreed terms and conditions on a global level, meaning that locally, you will not spend time in order to fine-tune the terms and the best terms and commercial conditions, since it will be agreed on an international level. So I think those are the main 3 points to me, which are key in order to manage a fleet on a global level. Let me go back to 1 point, Antonio, if I may, because I think we briefly mentioned the CO2 reduction, and you know that ALD is very involved in the CO2 reduction. Remember that 30% of the new cars purchased in 2025 will be electric vehicles. So on that point, could you tell us more a bit about LOreal for the future? I think it's something you are is very important for you.
Yes, it is very important for us. And just to make a recap of all what you said, and from my point of view, the way ALD is going to help LOreal to improve our operations and to make some expense efficiency is that if we go global, like you were saying, we are going to be able to share best practices among other countries. We are going to be able to build one Latin America car policy, which is going to be very interesting to take into account all the different needs of all the different countries. And we are going to be able to save lots of money and just focus on what we need to focus on, and leave the fleet administration to the experts. We don't want to worry about maintenance anymore, or legal advice, or legal fees, or even legal paperwork, right? And what you said about LOreal for the future is very interesting. In fact, it's an initiative that got communicated in 2019, I believe, and it was communicated in a shareholders meeting. So it's public information, and LOreal wants to leave a mark. LOreal wants to have a better world for everybody, wants to be more sustainable. LOreal wants to go green. So basically what we are doing is that we want to convert all of our street fleet, so to speak, all our sales representative fleet, which is almost half of our fleet. It's a lot of cars. And we want to convert them into hybrid cars, okay? We would love to go to full electric cars, but there are many restraints right now. There are many constraints of within that project. Lots of infrastructure restraints. There aren't many public chargers, and it's going to be difficult. There aren't any much models available. The model appeal is low, and since it would be quite complicated to do that, we want to go for the hybrid model, okay? And that way, we are going to help the environment. We are going to be a more responsible enterprise, a more responsible company. And we know that hybrid cars are expensive, but there's an upside because all the fuel savings that we are going to have almost cover the additional car price. So yes, it's a financial analysis that we did. We are going to invest some money on it, but we are okay with it, and we want to do it because we strongly believe that tomorrow's environment and tomorrow's world is quite important, and we want to leave a better world for our kids.
It's a very interesting point. I think for our part is over. As always, it's a pleasure to talk with you, Antonio. Thank you so much for your insight, and you can count on ALD to be a global partner, a LATAM partner, and as well a local partner. Thank you so much for your time, Antonio.
No, thank you. And yes, I do believe that our business relationship is going to be great in the near future.
Thank you.